How's it going, Deacon? Yes. All right. All right, so I decided to get crazy again. And you know how I'm talking about mounting this on the back of my bike on top of a rack? And then in the midst of putting on my blinking brake lights, like that, I decided, since there's actually a white light in the middle here, right there, and if I change the wiring around to turn that on, I can move my license plate all the way up to here, and then I could take my amber light and mount it where this license plate is. So that means I'd have to cut the back of this bracket off and mount it up underneath there, and get rid of this light and maybe use some of that wire for it. Now, I've seen some people, once they've moved the license plate up, they just kept this little piece here, but this is only held on between these two screws and another couple, and it's not that strong. But this piece is much more stout, and it goes all the way up and around and connects to the tank, and so structurally it's better if that stays on there, especially since right here the back of the let me grab the rack. If you plan on putting a lot of weight on these things, right, the rack actually rests right here on top of that, so you're putting weight on it. And so I don't think that's a good idea to get rid of this piece from a structural standpoint. But I do think that I could trim it right around here and around that side, leaving the main structure on there, and then attach the light underneath it. That would still be lower than what my license plate would be, and it gives me more room for me to swing my leg over. Plus, it also provides the path that runs right up through here, where the wiring goes, and so that's what I'm going to do. So one more time. So I've here, let me put these over here. Sorry, Deacon, I just kicked Deacon's head in. Did you care? Did you care? No, I don't have a biscuit for you. Sorry. And then I've already pulled the screws out here, so I'm just gonna, I haven't quite, there we go. Oops, as you can see, I've got I just have this sitting here, because until I get everything screwed down, I can't install it. That's the last thing to get put on. Right now, it's just down there to block a lot of the, it's there to block all the fumes coming up. So my Bonacci racks are just sitting there, waiting for me to figure out what I'm going to do here. Yeah. Okay, so set this aside. I'm probably scratching the heck out of this for all the different changes I've been making to it. All right. Now the question, when we get down to it, I'm either going to go with this type of amber light, or like the spotlights that are on the front. You get an amber version of those, but this is a whole lot cheaper. These are only like about 10 bucks each. These guys, although cheap in a white light, with the amber bulb, the only thing I can find is they want $49 for a pair of these. These weigh 7.7 ounces, and this weighs 9.3 ounces. So they're both, this one's 20 watts, this is 10 watts. So I'll start with this, and just to have something. And so my goal is to bring wire up from here up to this particular point, and then run it alongside these other wires up to the front, where we're going to end up putting the tower with its switches on, that'll turn it on and off. So right now, before I put the tail end back together, I just simply want to get the wire in there so it's accessible. Okay, so this is the tripod I'm using. Unfortunately, the microphone is on top of the camera, and so when I put things in here, they start not sounding quite right. So, but at least you'll have a steadier picture while I'm working on it. All right. Here's one. I'm going to put that right on the tire, since I'm not moving this thing. I have a fellow trying to talk me into doing the Colorado BDR in 2 weeks. My other bike won't be ready, or this bike we're working on won't be ready then. So I'll use my 2015 for that if I decide to go on it. And I've been looking at if they have motels all the way around. So if I get this video going and somebody wants to make the trip with me, with us, as far as I know, there's only 2 people. And he may be on a 350 XCW, which means on the trail he'd be able to run off and leave me behind, and be pretty boring. He'll probably go faster than me on the highway too. So, all right, so that's loose in there. I just need to take ready. That's going to be a whole different set of holes. What I did before. So if you watch my other video and decide to remount yours, and you've already done this, and then but for now here's what I'm talking about. You've got this piece that goes under here, and as you can see, it's really quite thin. There's only this thin layer here, and if you're trying to put weight on it, right, we could be bending it down, and then all this mud and stuff's going to be in here, getting into the wiring hole. Whereas if you leave this on there, you'll see how we've got a much thicker wall and everything, and it looks like it might be easier to clean out over time. And just if I was to just cut this off, I think this part can't be too expensive if I really screw up bad. Okay, so the cable for here is gonna lift that cable up and out of the way. Okay, so now it's here. You can see that's my flasher. That's in there. All right, so what one guy, and here's what you do to turn on this light. Find the 4 connector plug, which is this one that I hacked into last night, and to put in the module. But what we're going to do is going to be on this side. That white wire that's sitting right there, that actually goes to this LED. So we're going to pull out this little plug. All I need is a little plug puller outer. So we're just going to pull this little plug out here. There it goes. Not much to it. Then the next task is to, the wire that we just pulled out of here, we need to take that yellow wire and plug it into there. So there's a way to release these. I don't know if you see these little slots. If you stick something inside the rectangular hole, that releases the pin so you can pull them out. So I've got a push pin. I'm going to try that first. Here we go. I just didn't stick it in far enough. So you can do this with a push pin. Alright, then get rid of this little rubber thing. I'll put it back in this connector in case we ever need to use it again. There we go. Matter of fact, I'm even going to save the this little plastic dead piece. Stuck that in there. Alright, so now we've got these pins here, and the thing I want to make sure, if I want to go to put it back in, is it's still going to latch. So I'm looking at what the catch is. I assume it's just grabbing on the bottom of that part if I stick it in the hole, and it's going to latch. So let's, taking this wire then, taking the yellow wire and push it in where the white wire is. I should have watched and see which way I did it. Hold on, let me okay, the latch is going to be on this bottom side. So when you stick it in, the this little hook has to be going in this direction. Let's see if that's true. Yep, it's in there. Wow. Okay, let's see if I plug this in, if I have light back there. Turn on the key. We have a tail light. And you'll see right here, there's a little white light right there. And that what you'll do to light up the license plate. Right there. I thought it was this thing, but it wasn't. It was that guy. Alright. Alright, just because, you know, we've done some pulling and yanking on this wire, I don't want that to come out later on. I'm going to go ahead and tie it to the I'm going to free up this brown wire a little bit, because I think I can use that for my my strobe light. So I'm giving myself a little bit more pigtail on the brown wire, but I'm going to tie that yellow wire that we just did into the other connector, so it doesn't accidentally pull out, just in case whatever latches on the inside we fatigued it or something. Okay, that keeps everything together. So this brown ground wire I can use to connect up with this guy, so I only have to run just a single line up to the front. Sound good? Alright, let's stop right there for a second. Okay, this might be a little tough to see, but right there is the part number. For this number plate carrier. And if I went to KTM Twins, and that guy Anyway, it's showing it as being $31.45. All right, so that's not so bad. So if I screw up, I can always get a new one, right? All right, so I have no problem cutting into this thing and making it the rest of my bike stronger. Okay, I decided I'm going to go ahead and put some 1032 nutserts in there. An M5 will actually screw in that, and I'll show you how that works. First of all, I got to drill a couple holes, and I'm going to start. I lined up the license plate where I wanted it, and I've got this little. I'm going to drill this hole here this way. And I established that the gap between this surface and this piece below it is 18 millimeters. So there's not going to be any interference when I put this in there, and it'll you won't even see the inserts from the inside. So I'm just going to do that one first. Now for 1032 nutsert, you need a 19/64 drill. So I'm going to very carefully leave the burr. That's always okay. Okay, now you grab your nutsert. See, this thing screws off this way. You can always come by my house. I'll put these in for you if you want. All right, that should go all the way in. Of course, I've got my light in here that's kind of in the way. How about if I loosen this up a little bit and just get it out of the way? I think that's an excellent idea. The 2019 has so much more sexier lights than the previous one. There we go. I can get that out of the way now. What do I do with my... There it is. So basically you just, if it doesn't go in all the way, well, it does, so that means I have plenty of clearance. So you just kind of stick it in, right? And then you squeeze it. Well, and then you just unscrew it. Okay, so that's in there like that, and now I'll be able to take a either an M5 or a 1032. I got these button screws. And I can hold that in there just like that. So for now, where's my plate? There we go, because we're going to be marking a bunch of others. I'm using, on this plate, I believe this was an existing hole, but I use that just to center stuff up. So I may want to put some washers or something underneath there, so we're not bending down. But for now, I just want to get this thing lined up enough that I can put everything in there. So let me shove the tail light back in. There we go. And just get a good eyeball of right down the center line to here. And then we just need to figure out maybe where to drill 2 other holes, or even right down the middle here. That might be a good spot. I like that idea because then it's going to put it right into compression. Okay, I'm going to do that. See that? Just using the holes that come in that KTM plate for now. Now I drill it with the 19/64ths. Okay, that's 3 of them. It's all right, just let me show you how this works. First of all, this goes in like that. Oh, it's a reverse thread. And then you take your insert that you want to put in there. All right, and when you squeeze it, watch what happens to it. See how it mushrooms out there like that? That's all we're doing. Back in, but if you screw up, you can always put it again, right? We have the tools, the technology, and the will. Go. I mean, I looked underneath there. There's actually a big open void in between that. And if worse comes to worse, you can always put the next size larger screw in it. Okay, let's go see what damage I have wrought. I've added a couple spacers right here. I went and put the inserts in here, right? They're under there. See the screws? Got this plate being held on. Put a couple extra washers on here to help flatten out so it's nice and flat. I can still get to my license plates on the side, and I bored a hole right here so that the screws that we use to put oops, I'm just dropping them. This guy is accessible. Now, there's I saw a post in Adventure Rider where the guy took this off and left it off, but this thing needs to be secure. Like if I can push down on this light, you know, in the whole back end section. This will stiffen it up a lot. So I've got some ideas. This part only costs $31, so I'm going to cut this guy off right here. And reason being is I went and ordered an amber version of this. I'm going to attempt to mount this guy right in this general area, but farther up. I'm going to try to figure out how I can nest it right in there, and maybe even see this part here. See if I can't stuff it up in between the little walls of this plastic, and so I'll have to make sure it doesn't get in the way of the tire. But you can always move it out like this, you know, or I can move it like that. But whatever, I want to get rid of this part. So let's go over to my saw. Use a 350 as a bench. Either put the lamp back on there. Okay, so it just looks better. Put that in there, and we'll just stick this cable in, although it's not going to go anywhere. And I'm going to add now alright, I'm back. I'm just adding a black wire to the brown wire that was there, in preparation for strobe at a later time. Put a tie wrap on here so it doesn't pull out all the way across to over there. Now let me get another one. So now we can stuff all this back in here. And I can put this top of this rack back on without a care in the world. If you keep the movement down to a minimum, and nothing will go bad. Brand new bike, and I've got this part all scratched up already. Alright. There we go. I'm really tired, boys and girls. Because this is going to go up in there. I got to take these wires and kind of fold them in here so that they're gonna stick around when I go to put this guy up. So I'll put these screws in first. Okay, now we've got our tail section nicely reinforced again. If I was devilishly clever, I would put that little rib nut on those too, so it would be blind. Let's turn on the ignition. You can see that the license plate is all got white light on there. So everybody's going to be happy. This looks nice and clean. There's nothing going on here. Just makes for good tail end. I think we ought to put a little reflector, find a reflector off a bicycle or something, put that on there. But if you don't want to go any further, but if you want to consider what I'm going to be doing, we're maybe mounting something like this right up in there, and it's going to have an amber one that's going to flash when I get into traffic, and I'll figure a way to tuck that in there, and hopefully the tire swing when it goes up won't be bothered by it. So that'll go in there somewhere. We'll figure it out. You know, I could even hang stuff on the back. I never even thought of that. Whoa, blowing my own mind. Anyway, when the rack gets put on here, all that weight of your rack, the front of the rack is on here on those but the rear of the rack where all your luggage is going to be pushing down on this back section. See? And so you want to strengthen that up as much as you can. Okay. I'm missing one other hole. It goes right up in there. What do we do with that? I just remembered it. There it is. There we go. Okay, now we're tied together. Yeah, that was the last screw that holds that hole. This piece, and this piece to the tank. Do you notice it's got this handle sitting here? You got to grab onto it. That's pretty cool. So, it's been a long day. I'm going to process this video, hopefully get it out tonight. And but I think that's going to be a great look. Very clean. Deacon, where are you, buddy? All right, let's go to bed.